important for us to make these changes on the offices of all of them. And so I made the commitment to our family that I was going to meet every single candidate that I voted for and take the measure of the man and pass the snuff. So here's Dan.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming out. This is a very humbling experience. You have to put this in perspective for me. I'm not a politician. I was not some Hollywood guy. I just was a normal guy like yourself. I mean, I had a decent, exciting job being a Secret Service agent, but I was the guy in front of the podium, not the guy behind the podium. So now when I come out and these meet and greets, we've had great attendance. I mean, it really has been a very humbling experience. It means a lot to me personally that you would come out. My goal here is a couple of things. First, I want to tell you how I got here, because I think principles do matter. Really, I think we can have disagreements on what the corporate tax rate could be, but we can't have a disagreement on why I'm running for office. We just can't. I think that fundamentally a lot of these folks are in it for the wrong reasons. They are. I mean, I've been around it for 12 years, and you'd be surprised what goes on behind closed doors. It's frankly disgusting. Secondly, I'd like to touch on a couple policy points: education, healthcare, and the economy. I promise I won't bore you to death. I will make some numbers bleed for you, though, because a lot of times I think we've won the war of ideas but lost the market. Really, when you think about things like school choice, who doesn't agree with choice? But the Dems beat us on it every time. How is that? Well, I'll explain to you how we lose this consistently. And then finally, I want to tell you why Maryland, your home, my home, is worth fighting for, and why we're going to win this race. Because I can sit up here and give the greatest speech in the world, but the pure facts, the hard facts, the painful facts are there has to be a mathematical path to victory. And with some politicians we have out there, right now, there just isn't. Senator Mikulski being one of them. It's just not impossible to beat, but it would be very difficult. Senator Cardin doesn't have that luxury, I assure you. So my name is Dan Bongino. Again, thanks for coming out. How did I get here? I was a Secret Service agent. I was 12 years in to a 25-year career. So I was halfway done. It was a great career. There's nothing that happened in the Secret Service that had inspired me to leave. It was really just a pure ideological and principled stance I took. But I had just finished the Presidential Protection Division, traveling around the world for 5 years. It was an amazing job. It's only a 5-year assignment, because when you travel around with the president, it tends to burn folks out. So they give a 5-year limit, and that's it. But that's really the peak. That's the crescendo of your career. After that, it's pretty much smooth sailing, folks. I'll be honest with you. You're like an FBI agent after that. We have 2 roles in the Secret Service. We're criminal investigators and protection agents. The criminal investigative portion, I always found to be, I was one of those kids growing up like Starsky and Hutch and things. It was almost fun. I would have done it for free. So you're probably thinking, okay, you finished this Presidential Protection Division where you're traveling all around. My daughter was miserable. I was on the road 300 days out of the year. You're up at 3 a.m. every day. It's just, all these gray hairs are not, that's from, this one has Indonesia, Jakarta, Prague. They all have names of countries. It was all over. I was in Baltimore. I got transferred to the Baltimore field office. Life was wonderful. I had a government car back, government credit card for gas, didn't pay for gas. I had a nice healthy salary you paid for. I had a nice corner office, looked out on Camden Yards. And a month after the Presidential Protection Division, I cracked the largest fraud case in Maryland's history. We're on the front page of the Baltimore Sun. It was a little bit of luck, a little bit of skill. I'm not going to take all the credit for it. We wound up getting a lucky break. But needless to say, it was an enormous guy. Just got convicted, actually. It was on WMAR. I got 10 years. I think it was something like 100,000 victims over time. It's just absurd. So life was wonderful. It was fantastic. But the bottom line, folks, is it really wasn't. It was terrible. And why do I say that? Because like yourselves, I'm a patriot first, and I'm a believer that our flag represents more than just the fabric. I mean, no one dies for a fabric. They die for, my uncle died in Vietnam. He died for a set of ideas. People serve in our military because they believe in our ideas, not because they believe in a piece of fabric. And I saw it being dismantled right in front of our eyes. It is happening, and I don't mean to sound apocalyptic or in any way angry, but we have to be honest with ourselves. The country we know, and you inherited from your parents and they inherited from their parents, is not going to be the same country if we continue down this path. Why? Well, I'll give you the 3 big ones. And when I talk about these 3 issues, education, healthcare, and the economy, I talk about those because there are things we can have disagreements on. There are various social issues. There are other issues on the tangent, on the periphery that, if we lose a debate on say, just think of a small, even not school choice, but think of a marginal issue. The country may not collapse because of it. I mean, we've lost as Republicans before. But if we lose the economy, healthcare, and education, make no mistake, the whole infrastructure, architecture, skeleton of the country collapses right in front of you. There's no question about it. So that's why I tend to focus on those three issues. In the economy right now, what's wrong? I think you all know what's wrong, but I want to make it really kind of bleed for you. Taxation is power. Everyone here, I think, understands that. The ability to tax and take your money is the ability to take everything you're worth. Think about this. Look at it in an extreme. If they were to tax you at 100%, are you free? The answer is quite obviously no, you're not free, because you're working for someone else. That's not freedom. That's servitude. Now, no one here, and myself specifically, and I don't know of any politician running on the Republican or Dem side, is going to argue for we don't need to pay taxes. I don't think anyone in this room is going to say that either. It's absurd, taking it to the other extreme. What we're asking for is a fair, predictable system that keeps you motivated to work and produce and provides, a solid social safety net for those that need it. Military, on the local level, police, fire, teachers, corruption-free court system, some decent roads. They're not really difficult. But look what we're doing now. You had Harry Reid on the Senate floor, and this is only funny because it's true, argue for a government role in paying for the Cowboy Poetry Festival in Nevada. These are his actual words.
Have you read that poetry?
But I have. It better be wonderful. I like cowboy poets, folks, but let's be honest. We can't build a school in Baltimore City. We have, roads and bridges that are allegedly crumbling in front of our eyes. Yet he gets on the floor, he's spending your money, keep this in mind, and he's making an argument for paying for cowboy poets in Nevada?
No, they can't do it unless we face economic, near apocalypse. They know that. The Dems know that. And we're not there yet. Interest rates are still low. No matter how much it seems the debt goes up, they can just quantitative ease and print their way out of it. So really, inflation, no one sees it as a tax. It's really almost a cycle of creating value out of thin air. That's what we're doing right now. But there's no end game. They don't see, they're waiting for this thing to collapse, and it won't. Because they want to sell you a VAT and say, look, we're bankrupt, we need more taxes from the rich, we need a VAT here. Why do they want a VAT? And why is healthcare the vehicle to do it? Well, there's a law in economics called Hauser's Law, and I encourage you to look it up. Even Wikipedia, and just read on it. It's not called Hauser's opinion, it's called Hauser's Law. And what this economist Hauser found out was when you have a tax that's transparent, which right now we do, we have an income tax. When you get your check, you see how much you pay in taxes, right? It's not hidden, it's not blacked out. You go, wow, that's a lot. He found that no matter what the rates were, over time, when a tax is transparent society-wide, which it is, sales taxes, we know what we pay, people refuse to pay, collectively, more than about 20% of GDP, which is really more than 20% of what we're all worth. They won't pay anymore. Now, there have been blips. There's always outliers. There are people like, the libs always say, well, in the Clinton years, one year we had 24%. There's always outliers in statistics. There's always that person with stage 5 cancer who survives to their 100, right? Does anyone disagree? Outliers are a part of statistics. So disregarding those, there's a few outliers. That's the rule. Again, it's called Hauser's Law, not Hauser's opinion. They will not and they cannot get any more of your money, more than 20%. They understand that. Carter, the rates were 71%. You know what they got? 20% of your money. Reagan, the rates were 28%. You know what they got? 20% of your money. That's not the case with a VAT. With a VAT, it's built in at every level of production, meaning the fabric that made the fabric, the wood inside, everyone gets taxed. At every level of production, whatever value you added to that thread, you pay a tax on, you get a refund on the sales on, you pay the difference. But all you see is the end game. You don't know what you paid. You know what the Europeans get? 35 to 50% of your money, because nobody knows what they're paying. They can only do that through this healthcare vehicle. They're going to bankrupt it. I'm telling you, the system cannot work. It's never worked anywhere it's been tried. And if you dispute it, think about it in just common sense terms. I don't want to be partisan or apocalyptic or it's all coming apart at the seams. People know this. That's why almost 70% of people oppose Obamacare. If you were to go buy a car, just say it was a used car, cheap car, you want to just use it for around the neighborhood. You don't want to put license plates on it. You're driving around your property or something like that. I went to a rich guy's house in Detroit once when I was at the president. He had a car for his property. It's how big his property, no license plates, nothing. It's an old Ford. If you were going to go buy that car, you'd go buy it yourself, right? So, well, I want to see it, you know, kick the tires, make sure the car starts. But think about medicine. You'll go to a doctor, you'll have him crack open your chest, but you'll have someone else pay for it? It's insanity. You wouldn't do it for a car. You wouldn't do it for your kids, for your dog's chew toys. You go online and get them yourself. But when it comes, no, someone, the government can pay for that. That's why it doesn't work. There's no such thing as a third-party payer model where you disconnect the supplier of a doctor, a supplier of a service, and a consumer, the patient. Someone else pays and you all get along. Think about the insanity of that. It doesn't work. It defeats the price and competition mechanism. It doesn't work, and that's why the Brits are going broke. And again, just to further accentuate the point, why is no one up on Capitol Hill right now storming the gates over the price of dental care? Just as valuable as medical care. Does anybody dispute that? I mean, absent the open heart surgery in the emergency room, an abscess in your tooth is just as dangerous as the flu, right? It's a medical service. It follows the same rules of economics as everything else. No one's complaining about it. Why? Why is that? Because you pay. You either pay for dental insurance, because most companies don't cover it, or you pay the dentist. I was just, me and Marilyn were just talking about my daughter. It's going to cost me $10,000 to fix my daughter's teeth over the next 3 years. But you know what? I'm paying. So you know what my wife said today? She said, well, being that it's not paid, she goes, you think we should shop around? Who does that in medicine? No one. You just go into the doctor. The doctor says, I think this is going to cost $20,000, but I don't really know because I don't charge you. The company does, and we pay a company. And you're like, well, is there a copay? No one knows what the price is. It's totally, completely opaque. My brother-in-law is a doctor. He's a perinatologist, a high-risk pregnancy doctor. Ask him what a delivery costs. He has no idea. But I go next door to your dentist and say, hey, how much does it cost to fix this cavity? $250. That's why the cost gets controlled, because you go, $250, this hurts? Okay, that's worth it. Nobody does that in medicine. A third party pays, so you don't care. And either does the doctor. Not that he doesn't care about you. The doctors are good folks. But he doesn't even know the price. That's why we can't control the cost. It's an absurdity.